Hey everyone, today we're going to be learning about the triangle inequality theorem. And this theorem allows us to determine if three sides of a triangle actually make up a triangle. Now, in order to have a triangle, yes, you of course need three sides, but the length of those sides matters. So any side of a triangle must be shorter than the other two sides added together. If a side is longer than two sides added together, the other two sides won't meet. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to be looking at three side lengths of a triangle, and we are going to be using the triangle inequality theorem to determine if those three sides actually make up a triangle. So let's look at a first example. In order to use this triangle inequality theorem, there are three steps, and I have all the steps listed out here for you. So it says for this example, will the sides 2, 7, and 8 make a triangle? Well, our first step is to add two sides together. Now, you can pick any of these two sides. I usually pick the two smallest numbers, but again, it doesn't matter. But for all these examples, I'm going to use the two smallest numbers. So I'm first going to add up the two smallest numbers, which is 2 and 7. When I add 2 and 7, I get 9. Okay, that's step one. Now we go to step two. Step two is to now subtract those same two sides. So we added together 2 and 7. Now we're going to subtract 7 minus 2. Make sure you put the larger number first just so you don't get a negative. Okay, so now those are our first two steps. So we have step one is 9 and step two we got 5, which brings us to our final step, step 3. Now, the third side can be a number between step 1 and step 2. So in step 1 we got 9 and step 2 we got 5. The third side length has to be a number in between these two numbers. So the third side length has to be a number in between 9 and 5. Our third side was 8. So we ask ourselves, is 8 in between 5 and 9? Yeah, it absolutely is, which makes this a triangle. So a triangle can absolutely be or absolutely have side lengths 2, 7, and 8. Okay, so three steps. First, you're going to add two sides together. Then we're going to subtract two sides together. And those two numbers that we get, the third side has to fall in between those two numbers. Okay, if it didn't fall in between those two numbers, then this is not a triangle. Okay, because the sides won't meet, they won't touch. Let's look at another example. This one says, will the sides 7, 13, and 21 make a triangle? Okay, so step one is to add two sides together. Again, I'm going to use the two smaller numbers, so I'm going to use 7 and 13. I'm going to add 7 and 13 together. When I do that, I get 20. Okay, now step two is to subtract those two sides. So you can't go pick different sides. You have to use the two sides that you started with in step one. So now I'm going to subtract 13 minus 7, and we get 6. So now step 3 is actually how we see if this is going to be a triangle or not. So our third side has to be a number in between 20 and 6. Well, our third side in this case is 21. Is 21 in between 20 and 6? No, 21 is not a number in between 6 and 20, so this is not a triangle. Okay, next one. Will the sides 6, 13, and 16 make a triangle? Okay, we're going to add two sides together. I'm going to add 6 and 13. When I do that, I get 19. Step 2 is to subtract those same sides. So now I'm subtracting 13 minus 6, and we get 7. Now, our third side has to be a number in between 19 and 7. Is 16 a number in between 19 and 7? Yes, it absolutely is, which makes this a triangle. Okay, there are some other examples that you can look at out here, but we're going to do some practice on slide 7 in this video, and then you guys are going to complete a activity for your assignment today that looks identical to this slide. So I'm going to go through a couple examples just to show you how you do it. All right, so it says, determine whether the lengths could create a triangle. All right, so we're going to start in this first box here. It said, would the following side lengths work? Would the following side lengths work to create a triangle? Okay, so here are our side lengths, 5, 7, and 15. So remember, our first step is to add two sides together. Again, I always just start with the two smallest ones, but you don't have to. You can use any sides. Okay, 5 plus 7, which gives me 12. Now I'm going to subtract those same sides. Okay, so now I'm subtracting 7 minus 5. Again, make sure that you put the larger number first so you don't end up with a negative. 7 minus 5 is 2. So now this third side, which in this case is 15, has to be a number in between 12 and 2. Okay, is 15 in between 12 and 2? No, it absolutely is not. So this is not a triangle. So I'm going to drag and drop a no box into this rectangle here. And there's my answer. Okay, but we got to make sure we're filling out all three steps here in order to use the triangle inequality theorem. Okay, we'll do another one. Would the following side lengths work to create a triangle? Now we have 5, 9, and 18. Okay, so again, step one is to add two side lengths together. So I'm going to add 5 plus 9, which gives me 14. Then I'm going to subtract those same two sides. So 9 minus 5, which gives me 4. Now I need to ask myself, what are the two numbers that my third side length has to be in between? Well, it's these two numbers. So my third side length has to be in between 14 and 4. Is 18 in between 14 and 4? No, it absolutely is not. So these three sides would not create a triangle. All three sides would not meet. So not a triangle. Let's do another one. Would these three side lengths work? So again, we got to add two side lengths together. 8 plus, 8 plus 9. 8 plus 9 is 17. Then we're going to subtract those same numbers. 9 minus 8, which is 1. So now that third side length I know has to fall in between 17 and 1. Does 14 fall in between 17 and 1? Yep, it absolutely does. So I'm going to drag a yes box into the corresponding rectangle because I know those three sides do in fact make up a triangle. Okay, next one. Do the sides 6, 10, and 18 make up a triangle? Well, let's first add two sides together. 6 plus 10 is 16. Then I'm going to subtract those same sides. 10 minus 6 is 4. Okay, what are the two numbers that the third side length has to fall in between? Has to fall in between 16 and 4. Well, does 18 fall in between 16 and 4? No, it does not. So this is not a triangle. Okay, we'll do one more. Will the sides 2, 6, and 7 make up a triangle? Well, let's add two sides together. I'm going to add 2 plus 6. 2 plus 6 is 8. Then I'm going to subtract 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. Now I know my third side length is going to have to be a number in between 8 and 4. Is 7 in between 8 and 4? Yes, it is. So I know that these three sides make up a triangle. Okay, guys, so that is the triangle inequality theorem. Always, your first step is to add two sides together. Second step is to subtract those same two sides that you used in step one. Then the number that you got in step one and step two is the range that your last side length has to fall in between. If the number does fall in between those two numbers, then it is a triangle. If it does not fall in between those two numbers, then it is not a triangle. Okay, your assignment for today is going to be drag and drop that looks identical to this. Please make sure that you are filling in all of your work in this, what I typed in blue, and also dragging the yes and no's into the appropriate boxes. There will be extra red boxes, but again, guys, if you don't drag and drop and if you don't show your work here, you will not receive full credit. Okay, guys, as always, ask me if you have any questions.